Hi, I'm David Martone, Executive Chef at Classic Thyme Cooking School, and you're watching Cooking Time. This evening, we have a great show for you. We're going to do 4 really good, quick appetizers. So I'm going to get right down to business. We're going to go a little bit backwards with the first one. I've got some potatoes that we've cooked up in some water. And we always start potatoes at room temperature water, and then we bring them to a simmer and cook them until they're just about tender. For this, you can undercook them a bit because we're going to finish these potatoes off. This is really like a little tapas dish. And we're going to finish these potatoes off in some hot oil. And we're going to make a wonderful aioli to go over it and a little bit of a gremolata. So we've got the potatoes already cooked off because we want to just show you everything that's done. So that's the first step, is to cut them up and get them cooked. So let me show you how we want to cut these potatoes. These are just new potatoes. They don't have to be skinned. Cut them in half, and I cut them in an extra slice. And then I'm going to cut them 4 times across here. And then we're going to just dice them up just like that. Now we'll take those potatoes and then we'll start them in room temperature water back over here, and we'll get them cooking nicely until they're tender, like we said. Now, while those potatoes get cooked, we dry these up a bit because we don't want to plunge wet potatoes into hot oil and cause too much of a flare-up. So we'll just let these sit and dry up for a minute, and we'll get working on one of our other dishes. We have 2 different things going in this next dish, which is actually going to be very similar in nature. Got some dried apricots, got some turkey breast, or you can use a turkey London broil, and I've got some bacon. What we want to do is we take full strips of bacon and we cut it in half. So we have nice short pieces, which will work real nice with the dish we're doing. We take our turkey breast, and we want to cut the turkey breast in pieces that will be similar size to the apricot. So we take 2 pieces of breast cutlet, and then we'll cut those nicely into chunks. Okay, now we've got all our ingredients ready to go, and it's a simple skewering method. We're going to take strips of bacon, we lay them out, and we lay our apricots, and we wrap them. Then we take a skewer, and we want to just go right through the side. Let me show you this again. I'm going to do several of these, so just bear with us. We're going to just roll this up. I usually get 3 of them on a skewer. You can't believe how good the apricot and the bacon, the sweetness of the apricot along with the salty smokiness of the bacon is just a fabulous combination. Now for the next one, we're going to take a piece of turkey and we're going to roll that up. Put our skewer right through. We'll make a triple of that as well. A nice piece of turkey. Now at the end, when this is done, as a little bit of an added boost, we can sprinkle a little bit of crumpled blue cheese over this, which just makes it unbelievable. What a marriage of flavors that is. The blue cheese along with the bacon, it's just a perfect match. This can be grilled or it can be baked in the oven. So we've got our turkey and our apricot, and we're going to get a few more of these made while we're working on something else. Barb, would you take these and continue to make the turkey and the bacon? And give me another cutting board when you get a moment. Okay, I've got some oil heating up here, and I don't want to put those potatoes in just yet, but I've got my oil heated up to 375 degrees. which is just where I want it. I don't want to go above 375 because it'll just be too hot and you'll get the potatoes burning. If I go much below 350, what will happen is that oil will be too cool, and when I put the potatoes in, they won't crisp up on the outside, and they'll actually just start to kind of simmer in the oil, and they'll be soggy, and that's not what we want. We want very crisp exterior on the potatoes. Next dish I want to get prepared is my dumplings. We're going to make little wontons or dumplings. You could call them one or the other. We're going to take some fresh ginger. Now I've taken a piece of ginger and cut a couple of slices off. And then from those slices, we start to cut little strips like this. We take all those little strips, and these strips are kind of the size of a matchstick. We call that julienne. And then we want to cut those across this way into a tiny little dice. You can also use a powdered ginger. I'm just chopping this up to make sure it's nice and fine. But the fresh ginger will be much more pleasant in flavor, and the powdered ginger sometimes is a little bit tart and tangy, while the fresh ginger is very aromatic and flowery. I'm adding this to a bowl that I have some previously ground pork. Just regular store-bought ground pork is wonderful. And to that, we need to add a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of sesame oil. Always make sure and buy, you see how dark this sesame oil is? You can get other light sesame oil, but you want to make sure and get the toasted sesame oil. Sometimes it'll say toasted, sometimes it'll say dark. Sometimes you're relying strictly on the color. Because I put the soy sauce, I don't really need to worry about any salt, but I do want to add a little bit of fresh ground pepper to this. And then we just want to mix this up nicely. This is kind of a standard mixture for wontons and egg rolls. Of course, if we were making egg rolls, we'd mix in some other ingredients, some cabbage perhaps, or some bean sprouts. But the wontons that we're making today, or dumplings, use strictly a meat mixture in this recipe. You can also do this with a vegetable recipe, but my favorite is the pork. If you don't want to use the pork, you can certainly substitute out with a ground chicken or a ground turkey. Works just as well. You have to be careful when you're using wrappers, dumpling wrappers, wonton wrappers, egg roll wrappers, because they dry out very quickly. They're very, very thin. And if you leave them sit out too long, what will happen is they'll actually crack. See, I've kept these in plastic, and these are a lot of fun to make. We always get the kids involved in this, and my kids, who are pretty fussy about what they eat, will not only help me make these, but they love to eat them as well. I'm going to take about a half of a teaspoon of the mixture and put it right in the center of the wrapper. I'm going to show you two ways of doing this. A little bit of water here. Put a little bit of water, and we rub it on two sides to seal this. And then we fold this over. And Barb, when you're done with those, just lay them on this tray here with the foil on it. If you want to make the dumpling, and if you want to use the same wrapper for both, we did the water, we folded it over, and then we take a little cutter and we cut both sides. Just evens it out, it crimps it, and it cuts it. It's a great little shape. Let me show you a second shape here. Again, just about a half a teaspoon. If you put any more than that, it's really not going to allow you to close it. Same process in the beginning. Little water on both sides.